We knew, because you came down to hang out with John right after Nolan had been over and met Matt and given Matt the script to read. So I knew that Matt was meeting him, and I mean, any chance any of us could get to like work with him, we're all sort of champing at the bit.
But what was kind of funny was that he came to, we live in the same apartment building, and so he came to see me, and he knew that he was going to Emily with the part, but he didn't want it to seem like he was just kind of
one-stop shop.
One-stop shopping. So he bumped into John in like either the elevator or the lobby, and John talked to him for a half an hour, just kind of director to director. You know, they're talking shop, and Chris later admitted that he knew he was coming to Emily with the part, but he waited, like, it was like 5 days or something, and knew she was going to be in L.A., and then she came over to his house and read the script. And
he didn't want sort of convenient casting rumors, you know, that it was like, who else is in your building? Who else can we cast?
Is there anybody else? Start knocking on doors.
Is Robert Downey in his building?
He's got that level, that attention to detail that, you know, Stanley Kubrick had, you know, where it's like no detail is too small. His like depth of knowledge, his research, his understanding of all the dynamics at play between all these different characters, and ways to just get these ideas and succinctly like and fit them into a movie. I mean, the book that this is adapted from is like a tome, and it is dense with, like, I mean, the fine print. I remember it was like I needed reading glasses to even read the book. It was just very thoroughly researched, and he somehow was able to kind of get all of it into this film. But what that means is that each frame is entirely packed full of information. I mean, you could watch this movie 10 times and get something different, because it's just so rich and dense.
And he kind of, on set, I just feel his command of excellence is so vast, and everyone just has to match him where he is. And I don't find Chris exacting. I think people have used that word, and I don't find him that way. I find him really curious and interested in what you might bring or do, and you recognize he's cast you for a reason. He lets you know that, and then wants to see what wings you have, you know, and I love that about him.
I think he's exacting in some ways. I think he's exacting about some details, right?
Oh yeah, like he sweats the small stuff, and I want to work with a director who sweats the small stuff. I want him to see everything.
But in terms of performance, you're totally free.
There's
totally
freedom.
Free. He really wants to see what you're going to do.
Such authority on set. Like, I mean, he appears to be very calm. I'm sure there is a storm of information going on inside of him, but it's all clad in this sort of quite serene exterior, you know, that he's really fascinating. And he's funny.
Yeah.
People don't know that about Chris. He's really fun. I love him.
The vibe on set is really, nobody says it out loud, but everybody's feels really lucky to be there.
Yeah.
And so you just get this spirit, you know, from every department, like everybody's killing it. Everyone's doing everything they can, you know, working till you are bone tired because you want to leave it all on the field, you know, because that's what he does. He's very demanding of himself.
Yeah.
And so without having to say anything, you know, you just see that and you kind of take your cue from that and you work, you know, in a similar vein.
He's a big guy, Chris. He's tall. He's like, he's imposing as a figure. I don't know how he is able to be invisible. I didn't notice him standing by the camera staring at me. Like, he's somehow able to disappear. It was cool.
He's like those directors, you know, before we had Video Village. I mean, that's what Coppola said to me 30 years ago. He said the Antonioni, the Italians taught him that where you sit is right next to the camera, and you see it with your naked eye, as you understand human behavior.
Because you feel it.
Because you feel it, and you turn to the operator, who's the only one who's looking through the lens, and you just check in and make sure that they saw what you saw, and they'll give you a little nod, and you know you've got it. And that's how movies were made until, you know, whenever the monitors came around.
And you get that sense with him that his decision of when he has the take and when he's happy is not led by the visuals, it's led by the feeling he has. He's so English. He's the most English person I've ever met. Like, he's like my family. I don't want to tell him this, but he looks like my uncle. Like, it's all quite funny watching him. But there will be no sort of superlative praise. It will be like, yeah, happy, good, yeah, okay, moving on. And you're like, okay, that's it. I saw it with Robert and with John and with Robert's wife, Susan, and it was very emotional watching it. And I felt like I was inside of it. I felt like the arms of the movie came out and wrapped around me and pulled me right into it. It was bone-shattering watching it. I just loved it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's
Overwhelming,
great. It's
probably.
overwhelming. It was like the experience I had reading the script. That feeling just was magnified by the film. You know, how overwhelming it was. You know, because the film, it was written in the first person, which I'd never seen before, and so it just pulled you in, and you had this really subjective experience that was really overwhelming. And
it feels like a runaway train that you're on. It's so exciting watching it. Incredible.